Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have back with us Vincent Virga, who's the founder of PFS Wealth Management Group, and we'll be talking about overcoming fear with clarity. Vincent, welcome back to the program.
Well, thanks for having me back, Mike. I must be doing something right.
Yeah, really. Yeah, enjoy your perspectives on way you approach, teaching and guiding your clients to plan for a good retirement. And, this is such a huge point. I think that, if you're clear on something, you feel like you can move forward confidently. But the thing that holds us back so many times is fear. And it's like the fear of failure, the fear of success. There's so many things that impact that. So I'm excited to get your perspectives on these. So talk a little bit about how you approach providing clarity through your financial blueprint so that your clients really approach their retirement with a level of confidence and peace.
Yeah, sure. So, for us, it all starts with the premise of my first book, The S.M.A.R.T approach, a 5-step process to life, leadership, and investing. And the premise of our sales process is based off of our acronym SMART. SMART starts off with simplicity, basically keeping it simple. Measurability, being able to track and measure results based on goals and objectives of our clients. Accountability, not only accountability expectation of our clients of us, but of us as our clients as well. Realistic results. One of the key things that I always say is that if you're a greedy individual, and we're probably not going to be a good fit. And then finally, teamwork. It's here at PFS and through our S.M.A.R.T approach planning process and team. It's not all about just our financial advisors. We've got a support group that helps us in various areas of planning, similarly to a family business office. But ultimately, Mike, I think the way we create our financial blueprint for our clients is that we look at our typical client as a near retirement or at retirement age. And, there's levels of uncertainty that they have when it comes to income planning. Most individuals we meet with, if I ask them to bring in their income plan that their current advisor created for them, they look at me like a deer in headlights. Individuals have zero clarity, for the most part, that we meet with, of whether or not they have sustainable and reliable sources of income that neither spouse can outlive. Most individuals that have accounts in the stock market have no idea what the underlying costs are potentially of some of the mutual funds or ETF plans that portfolios they have, or whether or not the amount of risk they're taking is aligned with the amount of risk they want. There's lack of conversation about healthcare planning, lack of conversation about tax planning, and ultimately lack of conversation about estate and legacy planning. These are all concerns that individuals have, or in some cases didn't even realize and think about because we've been programmed to think a certain way when it comes to our investments.
Sometimes it is like if you hear someone go, well, now as we go through this process, here's some of the things that might crop up. But when they do, I've got a plan for that. So one thing might be whatever that is. And I think that in any scenario, when someone is to say, I'm right there with you, this could come up, but if it does, here's what we're going to do. It really does help to eliminate their fear. So what are some of those first steps you recommend for someone if they've identified specific financial fears, like, one of the big ones, like, am I going to have enough money, to retire and get through retirement? What are some of those steps you recommend?
Sure. Yeah. So ultimately, the first step is acknowledging and identifying the source of concerns that may exist, whether it's their fear of market volatility, rising healthcare costs, outliving assets, or unfortunately, the geopolitical landscape that we're dealing with currently. And these are concerns that begin with awareness and honest evaluation. And then from there, we apply a disciplined planning framework using our SMART approach planning process.
Nice. I think here's something too that I would say. Sometimes if you are, kind of wanting to check the box of overcoming fear with clarity, wouldn't a clear blueprint of where you are now and where you want to be, wouldn't that give you clarity, and wouldn't that help if there are any fears to kind of go, I'm just going to trust the process. Success leaves clues. I guess if Vincent has put together this plan and it's been successful with other clients over the decades, I'm just going to put one foot for the other. So that blueprint certainly seems to me like that would be a really big home run.
It is. It absolutely is. And again, our approach, Mike, our approach to guiding our clients in this next phase of their lives is unlike typically any experience that most individuals have had working with the institutional firms. I like to consider what we do and the value we bring in the upper echelon of the 1% of holistic and comprehensive financial advisory firms that just don't talk about stocks, bonds, and mutual funds and returns on investments. We're truly engaged in providing our clients with clarity. Again, as I mentioned earlier, in knowing that they have a sustainable and reliable income plan that they know that neither spouse can ever outlive for as long as they're on this earth. Making sure that we build and they have clarity. Because again, as I've mentioned in past conversations with you, clarity will undoubtedly reduce fear. And having that clarity about investment planning, healthcare planning, tax planning, and legacy and estate planning, when the day comes that the good Lord decides to take us.
It reminds me of a statement that I'm sure there's a framework or it's called something, but you'll recognize it, I'm sure. You don't know what you don't know. And I think that many times you've sat down with a client and explained something and they're like, I had no clue that was even part of what I should be prepared for. And so when you start bringing these up, how do you bring things up like that without amplifying a fear? Because I can only imagine if they're afraid of these three things and you bring up three more, that's going to be potentially like, now I'm even worse off. But you've got to address things that could become a potential limiter for someone reaching retirement, or at least to maximize and optimize. How do you handle that?
Yeah. So again, it's, I know I've been beating a dead horse. It's, we truly use a clarity approach. Our clients, we're sitting down and learning about them, learning about each one of the spouses, what concerns each spouse, what is their goals in the future. And then walk them through that process. It is, sometimes I kind of take it for granted because we make it, my guys and gals here make it look so easy, but it is a comprehensive approach to really diving deep into the feelings and the emotions of our prospective clients to learn about them first, and then building the plan around what they have and the resources we have to work with in order to get them hopefully to where they want to go.
Yeah. Yeah, so I know your approach aligns a lot with a scriptural focus. So talk a little bit about how you apply scripture to how you guide your clients through financial uncertainty.
Yeah, sure. So one in particular, I'm not shy to say it, but if anyone visits our website, we are a faith-based organization. Our values, our core values in the organization is actually the acronym of faith, and you visit it on our website. But one verse that stands out for me, quite frankly, is Philippians 4:19, and it says, "And my God will supply all your needs according to His riches in glory in Jesus Christ." And ultimately, how that kind of plays into the planning process is ultimately it can bring prospective clients or our existing clients a sense of peace by focusing. What we do now is focus on a more personalized, value-based strategy. So, investors or prospective clients can build a financial plan that is truly rooted in faith and not fear. Again, as we've said in past conversations, it's like getting on a plane and having faith that plane, the mechanics that worked on it, the pilots that are flying it, we have that faith that they are well equipped to get us from point A to point B. So yeah, this is truly the foundation of trust and something greater than just market performance, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that approach, and I align the same way with working with my clients. And it really is empowering when someone can elevate their perspective past just what's in 3 feet in front of them.
Exactly.
You know, and that has so many implications to go, let me release some control. Yes, you can't sit back with the remote and say, God, take care of it all. But when you can say, you know what? God will supply all of my needs. And let's even throw this little piece of advice in. Look back over the last 10 to 20 years and go, identify a tough spot that you faced, and how did you come through that? Shouldn't that bolster your faith as well?
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's exactly right, Michael.
Yeah. So let's talk about the lasting impact that really finally putting that stamp on overcoming financial fear has on that client's ability to leave a meaningful legacy. And it might even come into play with longevity. The thing that comes to mind there would be like, hey, if you've helped the client get past financial fear, wouldn't that give them peace of mind? Wouldn't that put a little spring in their step? And doesn't that add a minute or two to their life theoretically?
Yeah, it does. Again, my dad being one of the exceptions, but he left this earth way too early at the age of 70. But we are, as a human race, living a lot longer. Whether it's because of diet, whether it's because of medicine, whether it's we're being more conscientious of our bodies and the environment, we're living a lot longer. And most individuals don't plan for it and they don't think about it. Almost every prospective client that I sat down with would always, if they had their druthers, oh, I'm leaving tomorrow. It's like,
Yeah.
everyone's dying tomorrow, and then and they all fail to plan for the next 20 to 30 years of retirement. But ultimately, our goal at PFS and through our SMART approach planning process is address these concerns, and the way we do it is through thoughtful planning. I can't put it and stress it any better, more direct than thoughtful, compassionate planning, where the client truly feels more prepared to move forward with their goals. And by the way, part of that is also getting individuals out of their own way. And their quote unquote comfort zone. I always say there's that fine line between comfort zone and abundance. And our job is to break through that little fine line. And, Mike, this could include things like philanthropic initiatives, family gifting strategies, or just simply feeling more at ease with how their resources are being utilized. By organizing their financial lives with greater clarity and intention, a lot of these individuals that we meet with find that they can focus on more long-term and more delightful things in life than looking and turning on CNBC or Fox Business and instinctively looking at the lower right-hand corner and determining whether it's red or green. That's just like riding a roller coaster and trying to get off as it's moving. It's unsustainable.
Well, it also makes me think of something too, is when you have a big picture outlook, 30,000 foot view, as we always say, you're then not looking at what's 2 inches in front of your feet. You're looking at what's 30 feet before you. And then that's going to allow you not to stumble as much. And it's going to allow you not to get all amped up and frustrated with this little thing or that little thing. Let's say that, this expense popped up. You go, oh, that's fine because Vince told me that would happen and we've got a plan in place for that. And many things that could pop up to derail retirement, like, ooh, taxes went up, inflation went up, ooh, I've got to spend some money on some healthcare. If those things have been addressed well ahead of time, now when they come up, it's like, okay, that's just part of the plan. We meet, when we sit down and put that together, we'll make sure we address that when we come up. I would venture to say that is such a spectacular gift you're giving to your clients to give them that clarity and peace of mind.
Yeah, and it is true. And what's the most enjoyable feeling is when my advisors come out of one of those strategy sessions or analysis visits, and The one thing they say is that no one has ever talked to me like you have talked to me. No one has ever provided me the clarity like you have provided me. And ultimately, when we hear that, then we know we've done the right thing from a compassionate standpoint, and the clients, and that's ultimately how the most important way that you're going to build trust right out of the gate with a prospective client, and also eliminate the uncertainty and most importantly the fear of taking action to improve your well-being. Again, it's sometimes we can't get everyone out of their own way. But those that we can, we're just grateful to be able to help them.
I love it, Vincent. Well, if someone is hearing this thinking, hey, I might like to have a little bit of that clarity, what's the best way they can learn more and also reach out and connect with you?
Sure. Yeah. And as I always tell folks that I come in contact with, all you're going to be giving up is 1 hour out of the rest of your life, 1 hour out of the rest of your life to get a second opinion from someone other than the first. They can reach us at our website, pfswealthgroup.com, and in our Contact Us page. And one gift I'd like to offer to your listeners and anyone that happens to reach out to us on that contact page is offer a copy of my book, The S.M.A.R.T Approach.
Excellent. That sounds so great. Thank you so much for coming back on, Vincent. It was a real pleasure chatting with you.
Oh, it was my pleasure, Mike, and thank you so much.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneurssradio.com.